these drivers will take to this speedway alone.
That is a bad, fast-looking race car.
Oh, he hit the wall! What a terrible crash!
Sebastien Bourdais lost control of the car.
Wow, that just shows you what happens when these cars come unglued to the track.
Yesterday, we uncovered the 9 fastest. Today, we identify the quickest of the quick.
This is gonna be close.
Is it enough for the 500 pole?
You're gonna be P1.
Now this is Indianapolis 500 qualifying.
The prestige and pride that goes with being the pole sitter for the 500. Drivers going through their warm-up and focus routines, trying to relax, take the edge off. 4 laps, 10 miles around this most challenging of racetracks, trying to wring every bit of speed out of your car that you can to be that one at the end of the day, to be P1, the pole sitter for the 102nd Indianapolis 500. Danica Patrick will be the first driver to go onto the racetrack here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The drivers earning their spot in the Fast 9 in yesterday's bump day qualification runs. Now going in reverse order of their speeds from yesterday. Patrick 9th fastest. She'll be first today.
She is now feeling more confident. It is a big step to get here when you're racing full-time in Indy cars to run at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Eddie, when you've been away since 2011 and racing in NASCAR, a completely different car, to come back here and compete, but to come back here and not compete with a spotlight shining onto you, the pressure is on her full.
When she led the Indianapolis 500 for the first time, the whole world stood up and paid attention, and it's only fitting that she ends her career here. And to have gotten into the Fast 9 as easily as she did is a phenomenal achievement.
Patrick driving for Ed Carpenter Racing in this race. All 3 of Carpenter's machines, Chevrolet powered, made the Fast 9. So with a good team, with a comfortable team, solid first lap, 2:28.5. They had a group press conference last night with some of the faster drivers at the end. And I think it was 3 times in that press conference Ed Carpenter said to Danica on the microphone, you can't start any worse than 9th. You can't start any worse than 9th. So really, she can't start any worse than 9th in the 500, no matter how today turns out. Even at that, starting 9th, that's pretty good for somebody who hasn't been here since 2011.
If she keeps up this pace, I don't think she's going to start 9th. She's going to start farther up than that.
Second lap, 2:28.3. Yesterday, in making that 9th fastest run of the day, Danica's 4-lap average was 2:27.6. White flag, 3rd lap speed for Patrick, 2:27.9.
You can hear the RPM sort of dip down a little bit in the middle of the turn. That's a scrubbing of speed. She feels that. She hears that.
A checkered flag. And the first driver to complete a Fast 9 run, Danica Patrick, in with a 4-lap average of 228.090 miles an hour. There's her team owner, Ed Carpenter, who will be the second to last driver to go. Himself a 2-time pole sitter for this 500. So qualifying is over. Now it's just the final practices and the race for Patrick. Scott Dixon, former winner of the 500 and pole winner for 2 of the last 3 years. And now Dixon, green flag and on the clock for his 4-lap trip around the Brickyard. Of the 2 competing engine manufacturers in the Verizon IndyCar Series, Chevrolet and Honda, of this Fast 9, 7 were Chevrolets, 2 were Hondas. Dixon, one of the 2 Hondas, along with Sebastien Bourdais. All of those Chevrolet entries in the Fast 9 belong to just 2 teams. Roger Penske and Ed Carpenter's teams got all of their cars into the Fast 9. So that adds up to 7 of the 9 spots with those 2 teams.
And it hasn't been that way the last few years. Honda always seemed to have a little bit of an advantage when it came to qualifying, but now I would say the upper hand is with the Chevy.
2:27.8, the first lap for Scott Dixon. On Saturday, Dixon ran a 4-lap average of 2:27.7. Checkered flag. And this 4-lap average will be 2:27.2. So Scott second of the 2 that have run to this point. Down to Rick DeBrule.
Danica Patrick, before you went out, you said you were looking for 4 boring laps. Were those boring enough for you?
Yeah, I had one little slip of the front end on the exit of 1. That was the only non-boring part, but other than that, it was very straightforward. There's a gamble in just the amount of downforce and as you get going faster and trim out further, the balance becomes more critical. So we pretty much just him-hawed around about how do you accomplish the balance that we know exists from the day before and the day before that with the most amount of trim possible. So, but then you can't trim so far that you slide around. So look, the fear of, having a bad day is always there. Look at Rossi. I mean, he almost bumped me out yesterday, and then he, has a tough run and doesn't qualify very well. And that's possible here. Like, Indy's just crazy. It's one day to the next changes. So I'm grateful for all the good days that I've had. ECR has been fantastic. GoDaddy's back on the car. It's all good. It's all good. And I'm glad that part's over with. And now it's time for 500 fun miles.
Well, the first part's out of the way. Now she's ready for the race.
All right, Rick, thanks. Look at the smile. That's good to see. Think about it. Coming back here after not having been here since 2011. Things have changed, and she's been not bashful about stating that. People have asked her, well, do you remember the field? Hey, do you remember 2011 and what your car drove like? Joseph Newgarden remembers a couple of things. A, what it's like to qualify really well here at Indianapolis. You see, he started on the front row just a couple of years ago. He also remembers this morning when he had that big handful in turn 1 in practice. I should say this morning, early this afternoon, when his team was out in their final practice before this Fast 9. Newgarden driving for powerful Team Penske. Roger Penske, 16 times a winning entrant at the Indianapolis 500-mile race. Newgarden looking for his first, and the green flag here, and he's on the clock in the Fast 9.
Newgarden is a very aggressive driver. And that really doesn't help you that much around here. You need to be as smooth as possible. But in the race, I can guarantee you, if there is a hole, he will go for it.
We've seen him with some incredible passes, some even on his teammate last year to win events. Some people may think it's controversial, but as a driver, if you have an opportunity, you're going to take that opportunity, whether it's a teammate or not. So he's into a program now where he is very appreciative of what Team Penske offers him. Spent many years doing go-karting and junior cars and all that sort of stuff in here in the Midwest. And once he got to Team Penske, every day he said, I just can't believe the resources that Team Penske has and everything that's at your disposal, not only on racetracks, but also the training facility at their home base back in North Carolina, everything to improve the race driver.
228.8.
That is very stout.
Hello. Second lap speed for Newgarden, 228.2. You see tracking fastest of the early runners in this Fast 9 so far.
Has not changed his line at all from the first to the second lap.
That number 1 on the car, as is tradition in IndyCar racing. The champion carries that number 1. Newgarden, the series champion of a year ago in his first season with Team Penske. There's the captain.
Willing his car on.
Talked about A.J. Foyt's passion for this place. I guess I'd put Roger Penske there on that same step of passion for the place with A.J.
3 laps done above 228. Speed's dropping just a little bit.
And we've seen that all day today. Remember, yesterday, a lot of the cars, including the Penske cars, were getting faster as the laps went on. But as we've talked about in Yon Chronicle, that the track temperature has gone up, making the track a little bit more difficult to handle, a little greasier. The wind has picked up. So all they're trying to do is mitigate the drop-off here over their 4 laps and be as consistent as possible.
Checkered flag for Joseph Newgarden. And a new number atop the scoring pylon. It'll be number 1. 228.405 miles an hour.
You did a really great job. Very good. Proud of you.
Jan?
And that was the voice of Don Halliday along with Danica Patrick, her engineer. He was here moments ago looking over the car for Spencer Pigot. You talk about the team cars. They decided not to make a change on his car physically. No front wing, no rear wing changes, no tire pressure. So all that debrief he got on the radio, he's going to make up those differences just like Danica with those anti-roll bars or the weight jacker.
All right, John, thanks. So first lap in the books for Spencer Pigot, 2:28.709 for the first lap. Pigot, 24-year-old from Orlando in his third Indianapolis 500-mile race. We talked with him this morning in the garage as Eddie and I were wandering around. Spencer was by his garage in Gasoline Alley. He came walking out with this huge ear-to-ear smile. Said, "How you doing?" He said, "Doing great." And the whole time we talked with him, he never stopped with that ear-to-ear grin. That's how excited that young man is at the performance of this race car and his opportunity to possibly see his life's dream of winning the Indianapolis 500 is this weekend and next weekend.
He was brimming with confidence, and you can tell it's carrying through in this run. That is a very fast first lap. And he followed up with a second lap of 2:28.005.
Trying to make sure he can make some changes to make this car better.
Flirting right there, that tracker bouncing back and forth, second and third.
You know, both drivers part of the Mazda Road to Indy program, and Spencer, one of the most successful drivers with that program, and a lot of wins along, giving experience to be able to run here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Checkered flag, 4-lap average, 2:28.107. That is second out of the 4 that have gone for Orlando's Spencer Pigot.
Well, we're competitive. You give us practice time, we're going to use it. We use it for a good reason. You know, for us, we're trying to figure every little bit out that we can. We want all 4 of these cars to be up at the front, and I think these guys deserve it. We have such amazing people at Team Penske. It's a big group, a lot of people working on these race cars to make them go as fast as they do. And you know, the Verizon car's been quick all month. I think Team Chevy's done their homework. It's good to be with Chevrolet. They really do a good job around Indianapolis here. So we'll see what holds up. I don't know if that'll be enough for pole. I think we maybe had a little bit more in it that we didn't eke out, but it was close, and it was an overall good run. So I'm satisfied for these guys and all the work that's been put in.
Next on the track with 5 drivers to go, Sebastien Bourdais won 4 consecutive championships earlier in his career in open wheel racing. Of course, the real story about Seb this May relates back to 12 months ago when on Saturday of qualification weekend, while on a run that was tracking toward pole position, the car came unglued off the speedway surface, as Eddie called at the time, in turn 2. He had an incredibly awful crash, destroying the car and sending him to the hospital here in Indianapolis with pelvic injuries. They said he'd be out for the season. He came back and ran the final 3 races of the season, then started this season by winning the year's first race. He's the only driver to have led in every race this year so far in the Verizon IndyCar Series, and he's out here now in the Fast 9, trying to see if he can secure the pole position for the 500. He's the last Honda to have a shot at it today, and Bourdais driving for Dale Coyne Racing with Jimmy Vasser and James Sullivan as ownership partners as well, has managed to find a little bit more speed than many this month carrying the Honda badge in qualifying trim.
Absolutely. And he has a very small nucleus of engineers that have been with him for a long time, and they have made Dale Coyne's race team into a winning effort. And you have to count him in as one of the drivers that can win the Indianapolis 500. He's just so savvy and so smart at making the right decisions behind the wheel.
And when you talk about a small nucleus group of engineers, compare that to what we just heard with Joseph Newgarden. He says a lot of people working on it. I mean, the size of the facility and the amount of people are probably double, maybe more over at Penske compared to Dale Coyne. So certainly a driver and a team that's really punching above its belt line, and I think they are just doing a great job right now. Another great speed.
A couple of really good laps there. The first lap a tick slower than Newgarden's. The second lap a tick faster than Newgarden's. And this is all about a 4-lap average, but lost a little bit of time here on this lap.
So that time lost was over in turn 2. That's where the wind's now starting to shift. Car handles different, like we heard from Danica in turn 1. A little bit of a push you into turn 2 also.
Third lap down to 2:27.4. He lost a full mile an hour on that lap. Doesn't sound like much when you're talking 2:28 to 2:27, but in qualifying here in Indianapolis, that's a lot.
And Alan, that's just a small difference of what you've done with the car or how it moves. Sometimes a little bit of a slide, using a little bit more track, a little bit more real estate. As a driver, you feel that every inch of the track that you go around, you know before you get across the start and finish line, before you see your time, if you've actually made the car go a little slower.
So checkered flag for Sebastien Bourdais, and the 4-lap average will be 228.142 mile an hour. Nice recovery again, up over 228 on that 4th lap. If not for that hiccup on lap 3, those were 3 of 4 really great laps. Second fastest so far for Bourdais.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, starting inside the top 9 is a big achievement for us. You know, for me, it's at least 20 positions better than I've ever started here before. So very happy with our preferred freezer car, and you know, I don't think it's much of a surprise to see all the ECR cars up front here. And you know, now qualifying's over, we'll focus on the race, but it's been a great day.
Will Power out on the track beginning his warm-up laps. Jan?
And he, of course, is the first Penske benefactor of teammates. They have decided, based on Joseph Newgarden's run, remember his fall-off was very minimal, they added downforce at the last moment before they sent Will Power out. A half a turn of front wing, 2 turns of rear. The idea is need a bit more downforce today so the laps don't fall off. They told him the last thought on the radio, if you get to 6th gear, you'll be fast enough for pole.
The next big check mark to make on the resume for Will Power is to have his likeness on the Borg Warner Trophy as an Indy 500 winner.
Especially since he's a Penske driver. I think that's required, wouldn't you say, Scott? You've got to win at Indy, and he has come so close to winning at Indy.
Well, certainly expected if you drive for Team Penske, not only just Indianapolis, but also performing for all races in the championship. His warm-up lap of 2:22, and you heard the report of adding just a little bit more front wing and rear wing, and hopefully if he can get to 6th gear, that would give him the pole because he'd be able to go fast enough, as we see team owner Roger Penske looking on the right-hand side. So a 2:28.8.
He was in 6th gear.
This is all going to depend on how long his tires last.
But should be a little bit of help on reporter with a little bit more wing in the car. And when they said about 6th gear, when you add more wing, you add more drag to the car. So that means it's going to go slower down the straightaway. And they might have only been able to achieve 5th gear. And they're using 5th going into turn 3. Probably will use 6 coming down the front stretch here because he has that slight tailwind that we've reported.
Second lap is really important.
Hit 6th gear there, 228.8, another 228.8.
Oh, he's being so delicate with his car. Look at that. There's just no change, no immediate change of direction from him, like we've seen other cars coming out of the corners.
Sorry, Eddie. Joseph Newgarden did 228.4 on his first lap, then 228.8 on his second, down to 228.2 on his third. Will faster at 228.8 on the first, equaling at 228.8 on the second. Let's see what lap number 3 is here as Power continues to track as the fastest so far. 228.4.
Amazing.
I asked Elio Castroneves, his teammate, how does Will Power go so fast on road courses? He says, I've looked at his data. I don't understand it. I can't make it go as quick as he does. But this is a reversal because Will Power is being such a great drive here. But the guy that has the oval prowess is Elio Castroneves. So we'll see if he'll be able to go faster than Will Power is shortly.
Look how small amount of road he's using.
Castroneves will be the last driver to run. Checkered flag. Will Power. Is it enough? Yes. 228.607, the 4-lap average speed for Will Power. New leader in qualifying.
Yesterday we were talking about this qualifying was 1 year in the making. Congratulations, you're safely in, but you said that was quite a ride.
Yeah, I just want to give a little message to my wife. I know she's watching. It's been probably the hardest weekend we've ever had to go through, so love you, babe. Yeah, it was hard. It was really hard today. Downforce was light, car was very, very much on top of the track, sliding a lot. Tried to be safe with the tools, but we were just too shy on downforce, really, for the conditions. We didn't change anything from yesterday, but almost too little. So I had a bit of a moment there in one. I didn't trust it, so I got my foot off of it, and it showed big time on the speeds, but pretty happy with the run, the way things went. I just, I can't, with what happened last year, you can't just disregard the signs of the car anymore.
I was going to say, with what happened last year, when you were in that run and you had a decision to make, did that influence the way you drove the car today?
Yeah, for sure. I probably would have stayed in it pretty easily last year, but I thought twice about it this year. That's for sure.
It's amazing what we learn in life. Sebastien Bourdais safely in the field.
Well, for sure.
I learned a lot after I retired, and I know that we've done some pieces on wives here previously. They don't share everything that's in their thought process with us on TV or to their drivers that are out there, and understandably so.
Here is Simon Pagenaud driving for Team Penske. 3 cars to go. Jan?
And this will be very interesting. We know that the Penske team does not like to put all their eggs in one basket. So for Simon Pagenaud, he is running less downforce than both Joseph Newgarden and what we saw Will Power do just a moment ago. So hedging their bets, making sure they have all the bases covered. So watch for Simon Pagenaud potentially with faster straight line speed, but it'll be skating in the corners.
He's the first one to do a 2:29.1. And the track is getting quicker. The cooler the track gets and the bigger that shadow is, the more grip the cars are going to have.
He did the 2:29 in his first lap. Can he keep the consistency there across all 10 miles of this run?
Well, the weather has been changing here, guys. I've been looking out the window and watching the pylon, the sock right there. Look at it. It has got no wind whatsoever. Talk about the timing of perfect conditions right now for Simon Pagenaud. This is his time.
Second lap, 2:28.9, still tracking as the fastest so far. Tim Cindric on the right, team president for Team Penske. Roger Penske, the captain, on the left. And Simon Pagenaud with his right foot planted firmly on the floor.
I think he riveted that pedal to the floor.
And I did notice this morning in practice, he was one of the Penske drivers that went quick right away, went and did his 4-lap test run, and then parked the car. So very happy for it, obviously.
Third lap, 2:28.6 for Pagenaud, and 1 lap to go. A little pop you hear when they downshift the car. The engine will do that. Some people ask me sometimes, ooh, is something wrong there? No, that's a very normal thing on these cars.
And these are so different. They're so nice to drive now with the paddle shifters versus back in the old days. You all started out with the shifter and the knob on the side.
One last corner, checkered flag in sight. And Simon Pagenaud is going to set the new mark at the top of the board. 2:28.761 with 2 drivers left to go. Will Power now down to second, Rick.
Yeah, and as soon as he got out of the car, he said he pretty much knows what went wrong. So explain what went wrong.
Yeah, I think we added too much downforce there just before we went out. My engineer radio and said I'm going to add a little bit of wing. So I was pretty stuck. The car was good, a lot better than practice today. Had a couple of messy shifts there, a little bit in the limiter. Seeing how tight it is, it's obviously that sort of thing can make a difference. But yeah, hopefully we can stick on the front row. It's a couple of real quick guys to go though.
Pole sitter for just a moment, but had to give it up to his teammate.
Well, for Will, he can start no worse than the inside of row number 2. But those 2 drivers to go, yes, they have been pretty fast. And here's one of them. Ed Carpenter from Indianapolis won the pole for this race in back-to-back years, 2013 and 2014. Begins his warm-up effort here. Carpenter, all 3 of his cars have been fast. All 3 of them made the Fast 9. He is much loved here, much cheered for here. The fact that a victory has eluded him at this speedway is frustrating for him, but we all know how difficult this race can be to win. Is this the year that fate smiles upon the guy who, on the side of his helmet on that black stripe, it just says, Ed. Kind of a throwback scheme, if you will. So here it is, green flag. 4 laps to go for Ed Carpenter, and then just Elio Castroneves left.
Ed is definitely capable of ruining the Penske party this afternoon. He's proved to be very fast around here. His cars are always quick, as you can tell with all 3 of his cars in the top 9. I think we might have a surprise here. And the track is getting quicker by the minute.
Gotta tell you, it wouldn't surprise me.
No, not at all. And you can see how controlled his car is because he's being able to keep it away from the wall. First lap here coming up.
2:30.
Here we go.
Can he put 4 together like that? Lap number 2 for Ed Carpenter. Survey says 2:29.8, still tracking fastest.
The car's on rails.
It's on rails, and yet it's on edge, right?
The fastest way around here with these cars this year seems to be the least amount of movement you put into the wheel. And he's on it. And look at all the room he has left, Scott.
It's amazing. Tells you the car's working. It's rotating through the middle of the turn. He's not using up all the road with the exception there in 4. Lap number 3 coming up.
White flag for Ed Carpenter. 3rd lap. 2:29.5. Averaging 2:29.8. He's got to beat 2:28.7.
It's the fall off that everybody's concerned about. We've talked about it with the track temperature. He has to keep that momentum to speed up for lap 4.
Checkered flag. Is it good enough for Ed Carpenter? Yes, it is. 2:29.6. One driver left to go. It'll be Elio Castroneves on the speedway in a moment. Ed Carpenter fastest, Simon Pagenaud now second, Rick.
Yeah, going through a qualifying run is tough, but then having to watch the next guy go out and qualify, it seems awful hard. Let's talk about what it's like to be on the pole for a moment, and then we'll have to watch somebody else go out.
Hey, that's the game. That's qualifying. It's exciting. It's great for the fans. It's 4 laps. You're completely on the edge of everything. We try to trim the car as much as we can to go super fastly on the straightaway. Manage to go through the corners for 4 laps, but it's holding your breath. Definitely the part that I hate the most is watching, because you never know what the others have. So, hey, good job to Ed and Chevrolet. They did a tremendous job giving us the power. And I think it's going to be a front row. I mean, it is a front row, so it's a great job from Team Penske.
All right, and your teammate still has a chance at it. But once again, Simon, a little sadness in his eyes as he watched that happen.
Here's Ed. Listen to the crowd. How cool is that? Good job, Dad. How cool is that? So, one driver stands between Ed Carpenter and his 3rd Indy 500 pole, and here it is, the last man on the track, the 3-time winner of the 500 and former pole winner, Elio Castroneves.
Okay, Elio, so on Simon's first lap there, he shifted up to 6th gear and going into turn 1 and held it all the way around until the next time, and then downshifted in the short chute. But you said that was worse, correct? For his first lap there, it looked like it was better. Copy that.
There was additional radio conversation after Elio Castroneves heard the crowd and saw the speed of 230 miles an hour for Ed Carpenter. He knows the benchmark he has to hit. The radio communication was 230. Do we have the gear for that? They go, you have the gear for it if the wind dies down on the back straightaway, and they've taken wing out of this car. Try to give him all the speed to challenge Ed Carpenter.
Green flag, 4 laps away from knowing who the pole sitter will be for the Indy 500 next Sunday. Elio Castroneves, a 4-time pole winner himself, back trying to join that 4-time club of 4-time winners of this race.
Warm-up speeds 220, just a little shy than what Ed Carpenter had on his warm-up speed.
The last time he won the 500, he started on pole position back in 2009. Lap number 1, that's 228.9. He's got to average 229.6. Still tracking for a front row spot.
All of Penske's hopes are on this man's shoulders right now.
Well, guys, when you look at the gear that he's in right now, he's in 5th gear. If he was going faster, being able to use 6, that means he was getting the speed out of the car. Is the car too planted down to the ground, has too much downforce, too much drag? We don't know, but it's not getting the speed he needs.
Windsock is kicked up again a little bit. You talked about what a big difference a small gust of wind can make.
Pole belongs to Ed. There's no way he can pick up the difference in the next 2 laps.
Down to 228.5 for the average, so he's a full mile an hour off and tracking 7th. White flag. 1 more lap in Indianapolis 500 qualifying. Will Ed Carpenter become a 3-time pole winner? It is not going to be Castroneves, at least as far as qualifying today.
You can tell the balance is off in the car because of the balance is perfect. Cornering speeds is up, becomes your straightaway speeds are a little quicker. Elio's the master at qualifying here, so the car itself is just not working for Elio.
Don't count him out for the race next Sunday, but for today, it's not going to be fast enough. Checkered flag, Castroneves qualifies in 8th position, and Ed Carpenter is a 3-time pole winner of the Indy 500.
Thanks. Hey, I wasn't expecting a 230. I was like, oh, fuck. You had me scared after your run this morning.
Ed Carpenter, welcome back to the pole position here at Indy. What is it about this place? Or you just go home at night and dream of this place because you have got it completely wired?
Most nights, yeah, I do, to be honest. But I really just got to thank my team. That first lap blew my mind. You know, I figured we could run a 229 based on last night. My run last night actually wasn't very good. The car wasn't near as good as we've been. So I knew we had more left, but I wasn't expecting a 230. But the whole ECR team, especially the guys in my 20 car, they put so much love into this car, and it means everything to me to put us in a position like this and to be able to share the top 9 and this whole thing with Spencer, his first time in the top 9 with Preferred Freezer, and Danica with GoDaddy. She's not getting started on her side hustles yet, but super happy to be here. And obviously it couldn't be possible without Fuzzy's Vodka, Fuzzy Zeller, Stuart Reed. I love you guys, and hopefully we can keep doing this a long time.
All right, a lot of folks have talked about what this package is going to be like this year, and they were saying, you know, the one place you want to be with this car is up front. How critical is it going to be to have that front row starting position?
More so than my previous 2 poles. I think it's good. It's beneficial. I mean, it's always nice to start up front just because you can control things a little bit. But, you know, unless we all figure out a lot with race setups over the next couple of days, you know, it certainly feels good knowing that I've got clean air in front of me, at least as long as I get a good start. So I'm excited to get back in the car tomorrow and keep working on a race setup to hopefully make it as perfect as this qualifying car was, because of all the pole runs I've had here, this one, believe it or not, came the easiest. So, Big Buddy, thank you.
All right, you are not just a driver. You are a team owner, and you talked about the fact that you've got Danica's car and Spencer's car. What does it mean to you as somebody who's built a business and not just run as a driver to have that kind of success here today?
You know, the beauty of it is I don't have to worry about it. The team behind me, from Colleen Howerton, Tim Broyles, everyone in the office, Mike Bree, you know, they put a sign up at the beginning of the May that says you're not the boss anymore, and I adhere to the rules, so I'm here to drive race cars.
Congratulations, Ed Carpenter on the pole here for the 102nd running of the Indy 500.
Mario Andretti, Johnny Rutherford, Scott Dixon, Tom Sneva, and Arie Luyendyk. Now Ed Carpenter, 3-time pole winners at the Indianapolis 500. Ed has had a front row start in 3 of the last 5 years, but has had very little to show for it in the race, obviously hoping to turn it around next Sunday. Local boy, very popular pole sitter today, Ed Carpenter, has won the #1 starting spot for the Indianapolis 500. Place, an event he's been around literally almost all of his life. What would a win mean to him and his family next Sunday? It'd be big.
And it's looking so far so good here for Ed Carpenter. Again, using that very, very shallow line, the same line that we saw from Danica Patrick, not using all the room on exit of the corner whatsoever. And so far on the track, we're looking about a 1/2 tenth up on Simon Pagenaud. So Ed Carpenter could be the one to do it again, the master here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Again, looking for a 3rd time pole would Ed Carpenter be. He's still got 3 more laps left to go after he completes this one. So far, so good for Ed Carpenter. Comparing this run to Pagenaud, he's over a 1/10 of a second faster, and his speed over 230 miles an hour.
230 miles an hour. How is that doable in these warm and humid conditions? I have no clue. Not even using all the room. This guy truly is the master.
That is next Sunday, and here is how they'll go to the green flag for the 500 with Ed Carpenter sharing the front row with Simon Pagenaud and Will Power.
A huge mix-up of teams and drivers right there, but you have to really give a shout-out to Ed Carpenter, because we really thought Team Penske with their 4 top runners would be on the pole position.
I'm going to be saying this a lot. It's a great day for Chevy and not such a great day for Honda. But
does not end up being the fastest man today. And you say it's all about taking a risk, chasing Ed Carpenter?
Yeah, no question. We have 4 fast cars, and when we line up to the Fast 9, we got to make sure that somebody... We knew that he's going to be strong. Somebody got to take the short draw, and I was like, oh, I'll do it, you know. So obviously we took everything out from the car, and it's surprised the first lap I thought it was going to be even better, but in the end it just started getting really, really loose. And I was like, I guess I wear all my chances this morning, because I also was loose. So in the end of the day, the big day, obviously, it's Sunday. Yes, this is another race that we want to win. But great job, the entire organization. Great job to Ed as well for that 230. Was kind of like really incredible. And I tried. So now I just want to keep going now. I want to give a shout out to the Rev Group guys for giving the motorhome to keep relaxed this whole month of May. And hopefully we can get that big number, which is number 4. We can win from there, no question. But that was a tough qualifying, my friend. That was a tough one.
As you go for number 4 next Sunday, one of the team slogan, so to speak, is Penske preparation. You spent a lot of time last week working through race setups. How do you feel you stand in that configuration?
We all feel great, and you're right about that. We thought it's going to be raining on Saturday, on Friday actually, so we start working really, really hard in qualifying because we felt that we're good. But, you know, always something to learn when you come to this place. So Monday, hopefully the weather stays on, that we continue working the race car. And, well, now we're going to relax a little bit, because I tell you what, this qualifying, man, this is the kind of things I miss. I love this adrenaline rush, you know, kind of like, we're going to make it or not. So it was just absolutely incredible. It's a shame we didn't get the pole position, but hey, I prefer the win than actually the pole position. Well, I prefer everything, but anyway.
Yes, a fourth win, of course, for Elio would be icing on the cake for a one who's not full-time in the season right now, Alan.
What a 2 days of qualifications here at the Speedway. We've seen the highest of highs with Ed Carpenter here, and we saw the lows yesterday with James Hinchcliffe and Pippa Mann, and the emotions of not being able to make the starting grid for the 500-mile race. And then on Sunday, the speeds, well, Will Power will be on the front row for the captain Roger Penske, as will Simon Pagenaud. But the pole sitter for the third time in his career is Ed Carpenter from Indianapolis. He'll be the #1 qualifier for the 102nd Indianapolis 500. We'll call it for you next Sunday. See you then.